Hey, you're getting excited. You want to know how it ends. Okay. Well, you remember last week we heard about the shepherds, how the angels told them that the baby had been born and they went to find Jesus in Bethlehem. But they were quite near. They were just on the hillsides. But the people that we're going to hear about today came from a long, long way away. It took them quite a while to get there. Yeah, you know who they were? The wise men, that's right. So how do you think they found their way? No, not Google Maps. Not a sat-nav. No, they didn't have anything like that in those days. And they didn't have nice, comfortable cars or buses to ride in. They probably rode on a camel or maybe a horse. And it was a long, long journey. It would have taken them a long time, probably a year to get there. How far away was it? Well, we don't know exactly where they came from, but we think it was way over in the Far East. And it was a long way to go and a difficult road to find. So how did they find the way? Well, let's start at the beginning. These men were very clever men, and they looked into all sorts of books and things like that to find things out. But one night they were watching the stars. You like looking at the stars, do you? Yeah, me too. We haven't seen much of the stars lately, though, have we? No, it's been too cloudy, yeah. You saw them last night? Oh, right, I didn't. I missed that. There was a little break in the clouds, right, and you saw the stars. I love seeing the stars. But these men would look at the stars every night, and where they lived, it was often clear. But one night, one of them was looking up into the sky and he called to the others and said, "Hey, look, I can see something different. There's a new star, a special star." And they got out all their books that they've been learning from, and they said, "That means that there's a new king, a special king has been born. We've got to go and find him." So off they went. They knew it was going to be a long journey, and they travelled a long, long way over deserts and over hills and through rivers, and they followed the star all the way. It led them, and it led them right to the land of Israel. And you know, that's where the Lord Jesus was born. Yeah. Now, Alfie, if you were going to find a new king, where do you think that you would go to find him? To a palace, that's right. And these wise men, they went to the capital city of Israel, the city of Jerusalem. And they went to Jerusalem and they said, "Where's the new king? Where's the new king? We've seen his star in the east, and we've come to bring him presents and to worship him." And everybody was talking about it. And very soon, the king of Israel heard about it. Now, the king of Israel wasn't a very nice man. No, that wasn't his name. His name was Herod. And Herod heard about it. And he was very, very worried. He said, "I don't want there to be any king except for me. I'm the only king here. New king? There's no new king." And he called the men to come to him. And they stood in front of this big king and they said, "We've seen the star in the east. We know there's a new king, a special king, a king that will be above everybody else." And Herod didn't like that one little bit. And the men said, "Where is he?" And Herod thought, "I don't know. I know what I'll do. I'll call my wise men and see if they can tell me." So he called his wise men in. And these were very clever men. They knew all about lots of different things. And they said, "Where is the special king to be born?" And they went away and looked in their books. And one of them turned up a very special book, the book we call the Bible now, or the Old Testament. And back there in the Old Testament, there was a special verse written by a man called Micah. And it said that this special king would be born in Bethlehem. And that's where Jesus was born, wasn't it? How did Micah know all that time ago? Well, God told him that Bethlehem was the place it was all going to happen. So King Herod called these men back to him and he said, I think you'll find this special king in Bethlehem. Go and look for him. And when you find him, come and tell me. I'd like to see him as well. I'd like to worship him. And these wise men went off. They left the king and they travelled away. And the star led them. It kept on leading them until it came and stopped right over the house where Jesus was. And the wise men went in and they saw Jesus and they bowed down and knelt on the ground and they worshipped him, because they knew that he wasn't just a special king, he was God's own son. And then they opened their presents. And they weren't the presents you normally see at Christmas time. It was gold. And there was frankincense, which is a beautiful perfume. And there was myrrh, which spoke about how Jesus one day was going to suffer. Well, the men were so glad that they'd found the one they were looking for. The following day they got ready to leave, but that night God spoke to one of them in a dream and said, don't go back to King Herod. He wants to hurt the young child. Go home a different way. And they did. They went a completely different way. They didn't go near Jerusalem. They went back to their own country. But Herod was still angry. And he still wanted to hurt Jesus. So one night God spoke to Joseph, Mary's husband, in a dream and said, get out of Israel, get out of Bethlehem, go and hide, take the young child to Egypt and stay there until it's safe. And so Jesus, at quite a young age, we think by now he was perhaps 2 years old, he went to live in a far-off land, in the land of Egypt. And he stayed there until King Herod wasn't there anymore to trouble him. Now that's the end of the Christmas story, but it's not really the end of the story, because Jesus grew up, and when he became a man, he did some amazing things. He went round doing good, and in the end he died upon a cross so that we could be friends with God again. But that's another story in itself. But all we've got to say now is goodbye. I hope you have a great Christmas. Yeah, and a Happy New Year. And Alfie says Happy Christmas as well. We'll see you in the new year. Bye for now.